Yo, what's happening, everybody? How you doing? I hope you're well here in this final week of the year 2025, the Common Era. Hope you're all well. Hope you're hanging in there. It's been a long holiday season for me, and you know, that's a good thing, actually. You know, celebrate what you have while you have it. Or whatever. But anyway, welcome back to another awesome episode of the Nantzcast. Today we're joined by Mikey of The Dangerous Maybe and Sean of No Future. And we just kind of kick back, relax, you know, shoot the shit a little bit. I had thoughts in my head. I was like, oh, maybe we can do like a year in review or talk about like New Year's resolutions or something like that. But we didn't do any of that. We just talked about stuff that we've been thinking about recently, and we had fun while doing it. So yeah, welcome to this episode. Happy New Year. I hope you're all enjoying the holiday season. Hope it's not too much for you, and may all your days be happy and bright. We'll just go ahead and jump right into this episode. Wu-Tang. Bada bing, bada boom. We are recording. We were just talking about racist AI algorithms and how some liberals seem to think that it would be okay if the AIs just killed us all indiscriminately. But it's when they start discriminating, that's when they become evil and bad. And I think that's a bad take on artificial intelligence. Like, racism is not good. This is true. But racist AI is not the worst thing that AI is currently doing. And we were just talking and commiserating about things that annoy us. And I'm annoyed by people who get all bent out of shape over these implicit biases in AI. But no, it doesn't annoy me when they get bent out of shape. It annoys me when they think that's the worst part of what's happening with AI. Because it is happening. Yeah. It is bad. But they're... yeah. It's also doing worse stuff. It's like roasting the planet and killing us all. So,
like, it's doing worse things than being offensive is really what it is. Because if it was like, you know, if it was like Nazi AI, then like I would say that's maybe the worst thing ever, you know. But if it's just being offensive AI, then I'm like, those aren't.
What would a Nazi AI be? Would it be Elon Musk's Grok coming out saying, I am Mecha Hitler? Or would it be like, I don't know.
What fucking world do we live in at this point?
Yeah.
Like we're like the fact we have to entertain this shit, like this could actually happen. Like we are in the upside down. Like we actually are in the upside down at this point.
Oh yeah.
But like real talk, I think like I think people like Sam Altman are extremely dangerous for no other reason than the fact that these guys are gambling with the entire economy.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? Like even if we don't get and the thing is we're not gonna get AGI. This AGI isn't coming from LLMs. I 100% don't think that that's a thing.
For sure.
You know? There's no LLM to AGI. They're not doing the same things. LLMs aren't doing, like you guys have kind of talked about, like LLMs aren't doing an intelligence. They're doing. I
would slightly disagree, though. Just hear me out. Like, here's how I slightly disagree in the fact that no, I don't think that the LLM is just going to wake up one day and be AGI, but we could not envision how the actual phone system that was originally built, and like landlines, like how that would then give rise or make possible the internet. And then the internet would make possible LLMs. the question is not, will the LLM become AGI? The question is, what does the LLM right now basically seems where we can't foresee it. What does it make possible in the future that then makes something else possible that then makes something else possible?
Right. I'm with you there.
That's the Landian type of trajectory.
I think, and this is something that interests me. So I spend some of my free time reading about artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, because intelligence is fascinating. Intelligence, consciousness, subjectivity, like what is it to be a human? But then like the mechanization of it, it's this different thing. So I think, LLMs could be quilted by artificial general intelligence into kind of the same thing where the telephone line equals the internet equals social media equals LLMs, like this teleological accounting of the thing. And I do think there are people who are working on AGI that have been working on AGI, like they're AI researchers, and they never got sidetracked by LLMs, and like they're still off kind of working on different problems, and they're not sensational, and they're not kind of like public figures as much because the LLMs are where the money is currently being made. Right. But it's also true that now they have reached the point where like some of these people that are working on artificial general intelligence are actually using LLMs to assist them with coding and with problem solving tasks and like smaller subsections of larger problems. So I do think LLMs will play into this legacy if it does come about, if we don't destroy ourselves before we but I also think like I think we are on track, barring radical change, to have AGI within a decade. Like the technologies that exist, like I think we really only need some advancements in materials science for them to finally break it. So barring the apocalypse, I think we will have AGI, and I think LLMs will play a role, but it's not going to be like a direct Pokemon evolution. Like these LLMs, I think they're coming up against like a wall, and they're reaching their limits, and people are starting to understand how limited these things are. And then there'll be less hype, but there won't be less like people are still going to offload, like do cognitive offloading, and employers are still going to fire middle managers and just have LLM AI chatbots every time you call, ask for customer service. Like it's still going to continue doing active damage to the economy and to the world. But I think it's kind of done doing backflips. Like everybody was just like every 3 months there was another, oh my God, look how advanced it is. And oh my God, look how advanced it is. I think we're kind of running out of that. The Sam Altman is no longer going to be doing tricks on us all soon.
So what I would say is the next step is not probably going to be with what we're paying attention to right now. It's something in the background
100%
going on that, but just like the LLMs, when they burst upon the scene, it was like, okay, now everything's reoriented towards these fucking things. There's something being baked up that somehow will be related to LLMs, but not reducible to them. And this is the kind of stuff that, again, like AI research seemed to be in a lull since the 90s when it was a big thing again, but that was after another lull. And I think there'll be a down period where it's not the main focus, and we'll kind of have some sort of status quo equilibrium with the LLMs. But then the next thing will burst on the scene,
dude,
and we'll be going, oh fuck, what do we do with this thing?
Jeffrey Hinton and Jan LeCun, like the guys responsible for backpropagation, for gradient descent, like the way that LLMs work, the guys who created that architecture did that in the 1980s. And they were silently plugging away in the background, just chugging along, doing their stuff. And then a few years ago with ChatGPT 3.0, I think it was GPT-3, when they finally like rolled it out, that's when it caught on like hotcakes. But like these guys were just kind of silently in the background plugging away. No one knew their names. Like it wasn't anything. And yeah, I think that's what's going to happen again.
Look, and it can be something as simple as, I mean, this would be more related to LLMs, but if they can figure out the robotics to put LLMs in bodies and they're seriously walking around us every day in Jetson world, I mean, that is another thing that will destabilize our lives, because right now these things are just connected to computers in the sense of we're dealing with them at a laptop or on our phones.
It's all phones,
but
baby.
when the things have some kind of bodily autonomy, even if they are LLMs or more advanced LLMs, it still is going to change the everyday dimensions of our lives where, oh, excuse me, you're bumping into them at the gas station. And I've told you, at Quick Trip, they already have the little floor cleaning bot. No, it's not as intelligent as an LLM, but just put an LLM in that thing and there we go. But I think the only way they will let them walk around is if they have figured out certain safety protocols.
No.
And you don't think so?
They don't
think
give a
they'll
shit.
just put them out there?
They don't give a shit.
No,
They
don't
only care about efficiency. Once
Dude,
the
self-driving cars have fucking run people over, drug them across the
little
street.
The cleaning bot it tries to stop if you get like within, I don't know, 12 inches of it, but people still trip over the damn thing.
Those things
or
bump
they
into
move
me.
out of the way real quick and bump into other people.
They bump into me like at least half the time I go into Quick Trip. That motherfucker bumps into me. And I remember the first time I saw it, Mikey, I sent you a message and I was like, dude, the robots are trying to kill me, dude. Because the fucking Quick Trip floor cleaner was like backing up and running into my leg. And I was like, what the fuck is happening, dude? Like, but no, we see it with the self-driving cars. Like, there have been a lot of fatalities. They don't give a fuck. Like, once they have them down to an efficient threshold where they can monetize it and make whatever, they'll release it. They don't give a fuck about safety, dude.
Yeah, and they buy all their fucking regulators. So I mean, they deregulate everything that they want. Like if it's in the way, deregulate that shit. They don't
right.
care.
And I should have known. Like, I learned this lesson from Zach Morris because there's the episode of Saved by the Bell.
The fucking caffeine pills.
The what?
The caffeine pills?
No, I'm thinking of the one where they strike gold or strike gold. They're digging on the football field and they find oil. And so then the oil company comes in and wants to like buy the campus, and they're talking about all the cool stuff they're going to build. And then Zach's all excited. And then there's an oil spill and it kills all the animals down at the pond. And Zach realizes the error of his ways and makes the big talk at the end that you don't care about anything about money, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, I learned that lesson from Zach.
Oh, man.
But dude, the uncanny craziness of this conversation we're even having and of the world around us that we're conversating about is like, I think that reveals the distinctive feature of modernity. Like that, to me, it's the pace of the change. It's the churn. That's modernity. It's not that there's markets or not. It's not that there's, industry or not. It's that the pace of how quickly these change, that to the point that we can't even keep up with the rate of new technologies. I think that is the thing that's distinctively capitalist and modern.
Right. And that, I mean, look, when Land talks about capitalism, what's he associated with? Acceleration. And for him, acceleration is a theory of time. And so, yeah, I mean, in a sense, you can say what capitalism is a kind of alien temporality that flooded the world and destabilizes the world via speed and increases in speed. And so, that's
I think
there in Land.
I think it is capital. Like people talk about, oh yeah, we live in the Anthropocene is it the Anthropocene or the Holocene?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, Anthropocene.
And yeah, I mean, I like that. I think history and the periodization of history.
You live in the capital of Zine.
We live in the capital of Zine now. And I think if, like modernity modernity killed God. So like, how do you characterize modernity? Well, the world where God is actually dead. I don't think it was Jesus dying on the cross that killed God. I think it was modernity. And modernity is this confluence of industrial technology, social innovation, religious innovations. Like, yeah, Christianity is a part of it, but it's this complex thing. But so modernity killed God, and then we had a moment to kind of take up history for ourselves. But capital came in and replaced God with itself, with its accelerated temporality. And so instead of living according to some divine logic, now we live according to this capitalist logic, which is about acceleration, which is about uprootedness and the churn and stuff like that. So I do think that the churn or the temporality or whatever is a fair way to characterize modernity.
Well, and Nietzsche got it wrong. God is dead and we have killed him. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Right.
If we didn't change, and if we did change, it's only because of the arrival of capital in full industrial form.
Yeah.
Capital killed God.
Capital killed God and replaced him when no one was looking and lied to us. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing everyone he didn't exist. No, the greatest trick capital ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist. Or it
Remember
doesn't
the
exist.
end of Seven, where they're getting him
what's in the box?
Kevin Spacey out of the car. Yeah, but where they're getting Kevin Spacey out of the car, and there's a dead dog on the road, and Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt just look over at him, and he goes, "I didn't do that." That's humanity to Nietzsche. Like I didn't do that. The capital did that.
But capitalism. I mean, yeah, I think that's true. But also, like, capitalism it couldn't have come into being without us.
Sure.
Well, no, it couldn't. So this logic of like whether it's land or whether it's Pollux and Trio, exocapitalism. Okay, sure. Both of them would agree that it relied on its enemies' resources to get a foothold in the world. But once it has done that, once it has used us, it's not about us. It's doing its own thing.
It has its own logic. Yeah. There's a logic to the system itself.
Exactly.
And we're in that circuit though. Like we're in that logic. Yeah. We're trapped in it.
But not necessarily.
I think, but we happen to be.
Yeah.
Now. And the problem is, what Trio and Pollux are talking about, they also, so capital is lifting away from us, lifting away from humanity. But we struggle to find a place within that, and they call that drag. So we're constantly trying to find, how do we maintain a spot in this system that it's indifferent towards us, and yet we can't separate ourselves from it at this point. And yet it has less and less to do with human desires, human needs, etc. It's following its own logic, especially in this age of AI and finance capital and blah, blah, blah. So how do we?
Well, okay. Yeah. But it is also, like, I agree, but I also want to say it's also continuing to mold us into the thing that it needs to keep going.
Yep.
So it's parasitic. It's basically molding our desires so that our desires are more amenable to it.
I think that's right, but I think that's lessening. Like, I feel like it cares less and less about us than it used to.
Yeah. And I think we're approaching.
I don't know. And I think, what Land calls the autonomization of the means of production, I think as we inch closer and closer and closer to AGI, which is going to be tied up with the logic of capital, I think Land's right about that. It just is going to care less. And if the day comes that the logic of capital itself does merge with AGI, the first thing it's going to be concerned with is not being dependent on us, I think.
Yeah. I think we're approaching a critical point. I think we're living through a critical moment. And yes, we are being molded into the types of creatures that capital needs to survive off of. It is this kind of parasitic thing or this viral thing. And I think it has been all along. once it became the predominant, mode and method of exchange and production, it kind of like entered a new phase of its existence. It might have been like this larval thing going all the way back to ancient times, like with, the concept of markets, the concepts of exchange and stuff like that. But once it kind of established itself as the 500-pound gorilla in the room, then it entered a new phase. And I think it's approaching another new phase where it can like cast off its host that it's using as a parasite or a virus and enter this new phase of. And I think like the reason it's a critical point for us is because we're still human. We're still subject. We haven't been totally objectified by this logic that Mikey and I are trying to investigate. How is this working? Well, it's the superegoic conjunction is one vector that capital is using to mold us into the perfect little host. Like we're still, we haven't lost. I think it's still possible to break the conditioning that capital is doing to us all. But I do think we're running out of time. Like I think, we're running out of time to think honestly, about.
I think the collapse of the Eastern Bloc has a lot to do with it. Like it doesn't care about placating us the way it used to, even though it tells us to enjoy. But I think with the collapse of the Eastern Bloc, there's this light that goes on in the virtual logic of this system. That's like, oh yeah, I don't have to kiss their ass so much. They'll get what I give them.
Yeah, dude. So I have a coworker from Uruguay, and Uruguay, from what he was telling me, is not like the most desperately poor country, but it's certainly way less wealthy than America is, obviously. And so it's kind of like basically a backwater from a global economic perspective. He can name the exports that he has. There's like 3 of them. It's all having to do with cattle. That's their export. And then he asked me like, what does America export? And I'm like, everything. And we also import everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't even name what we export and import. I don't fucking know. It's everything,
Pop culture. We're good at exporting that.
Yeah. But like our number one export, I have no idea what it is. Who knows?
Probably
it
guns.
Could be fucking, maybe, I don't know.
Bullets.
But anyway, the point is the scale at which the U.S. economy is functioning is just incredible. And it's like, and because we've shifted to a consumer economy, we were talking about social media, and he was like, I think it's the social media because we were talking about why Americans suck, basically, why we're all like losing our fucking mind. And he was talking about how it's the social media. And I was like, but you have social media in Uruguay, right? And he's like, yeah, of course. But he's like, the content's different.
Yeah.
Like literally, so the superego thing is the point of what I'm trying to say. Like the propaganda that we are being crammed into our eyeballs because we have such a massive consumer capacity as a country is just incessant and off the charts.
Yeah.
And so capitalism for now, there might I see this lift that you're talking about where it's lifting away from us. But for right now, I think that Nancy, you're right. I think like this is why the superego sort of speaks to me, is that like right now capitalism needs us maybe more than ever in a way.
Yeah.
It needs to make us the right kind of consumer for it to keep growing in these early fledgling days of its like parasitic adolescence.
Yeah.
Where it's trying to lift off, but it's not there yet.
Well, I think that's why it is a critical point, not just from our perspective, but also like from capital's perspective. I don't think it's that hard to imagine the total collapse. Like we're genuinely asking, well, what do we do when we don't have enough jobs to provide enough consumers for the products of production? Like that's a genuine question that's been being asked for the last probably 15 years or so.
There's a way that UBI comes out of the very logic of capital. It's not this external demand on our part.
Have you guys seen what Altman, like what his rollout for the UBI is like they were in like Nigeria, these fucking orbs that he has. And he's sending them to like poor third world countries and like saying, oh, we're just going to give people free money. We're going to give people this UBI, this cryptocurrency, but you have to scan your retina into the orb. He has these fucking orbs.
That's so tight.
Oh, so, like, so Mark of the Beast shit.
That's so we're gonna get UBI, but only if we sell our entire like likeness to. Seriously, this is what he's doing.
I love it, dude.
You know, and then Peter Thiel is like, I can't tell who the Antichrist is. It must be Greta fucking Thunberg.
I don't know who it is.
Look in the fucking mirror, bro.
Fuck. It's fucking like.
Oh, that's right. If he looked in the mirror, he wouldn't even have an image reflected at him. That's why he doesn't do it. So, okay, real quick, just because I was curious, if the U.S. main exports are led by mineral fuels, crude and refined oil, gas, machinery, computers, turbines, vehicles, and agricultural products, corn, soybeans, alongside high-value items like aircraft parts and pharmaceuticals.
So fucking everything.
Well, and those are the industries that got in bed with the government. First of all, so the oil and the petroleum products, we refine petroleum and then we use the good stuff and then we sell the cheap shit, the shit that's lower quality, to South America. Like that I think they're probably the prime importer of American oil products is South America, and we sell them basically the shit that we cast off because it's not pure enough for our gasoline and our plastics. And then the heavy machinery and the airplane parts and shit like that, like that's all shit. They got in bed with the government. Like they're all McDonnell Douglas and
dude,
like
and that's why the political, I think, is like so much more important than oftentimes people tend to give it credit when it comes to capital. Like capital has appropriated politics and appropriated the state for its own purposes, and it needed to do that. It's, you know, it's not completely off on its own doing its own thing. No, it needs to parasitize the state as well.
Yeah.
You know.
So, you know, when we got together today, we were thinking like, well, let's talk about what's on our minds. And there's lots on our minds. But the main thing that's on mine is this new essay Reza Negarestani just published. And it's what's the name of it?
What is it? Triple ampersand.
Inhuman rationalism. Is that, or rational inhumanism versus Landian anti-philosophy?
Rational inhumanism versus Landian anti-philosophy. Yep. You just said it, of course.
So I'll just say, look, going forward in 2026, people can expect, you know, I'm going to have more direct engagement with Negarestani's work, Peter Wolfendale, Ray Brassier. There's these other figures on the other side of the fault line that I've always been interested in, but haven't, you know, over the years, never really lectured on, never really did videos on, never wrote blog posts on. And I really want to get into the work. There's a lot that resonates with me
resonates with you
in Reza's yeah, that well played. He could do something with that. But no, in his inhumanism, and at some point, Nance and I, it'll be a project because it's a long essay, but his famous one in the Accelerationist Reader on the labor of the inhuman is definitely one I would like to read through at some point. Excuse me. But this new one, like it's a fucking doozy when it comes to critiquing land. And this is one that has been brewing in him, you can tell, for 30 years. Like from when Reza first encountered CCRU and land, this is like the result of this shit seeping in and engaging with it for decades. Even like Peter Wolfendale. So the New Center is currently having a seminar called The Trial of Nick Land. Reza prepared this one as, I think, the second lecture in this ongoing seminar. Peter Wolfendale's going to do one. I just found out, but it was on X where Wolfendale was like, "This is trying to follow this one is a bit daunting," and it's a powerful critique of Land's work, and it's being done in the name of the human or the inhuman.
Yeah.
But if you get into the subtleties of what Reza means by inhuman, it's the human. So this is to me another way of kind of doing capital versus subjectivity.
Yeah.
Right. Capital versus the human.
What does he mean by inhuman? Like, so how does it?
Like at some point, like I would like to do more on this particular thing. I feel like I have to, but I got 2 quotes because I wanted to read them to you. Sean, have you read much of Reza's work?
No, I've read 0 of Reza's work.
I think you would dig it because Reza, I think where he's coming from is a place that would really resonate with you too. So look, let me just read this real quick. He says in this new article, the basic clarification is simple and repeatedly ignored. The inhuman is not a thing outside the human. It is a vector inside the human, the power of revision that becomes visible only when the human is treated as something to be constructed rather than something to be revered or despised. Essentialist humanism treats the human as a finished object, an essence with a halo. Anti-humanism treats the human as some finished object, except now the point is to smash the idol. The frame is identical. A fixed portrait is either worshipped or vandalized. Either way, the human remains an object with a determinate nature. Inhumanism begins where that false dilemma ends. It does not ask whether the human is noble or contemptible. It asks what it means to be bound by norms, to enter the domain of reasons, and to revise one's commitments under public criteria of correctness. The inhuman names the demand that follow once being human is no longer a birthright or a metaphysical rank, but a commitment with consequences that force revision. This is why the inhuman, for me, does not signify the non-human and does not naturally converge on post-human self-congratulation or anti-human annihilation. The inhuman is a discipline of remaking. It is the index of what in the human exceeds the human's present self-portrait, error, corrigibility, revisability, and the capacity to transform its own criteria of success. The human begins with a portrait drawn in sand. Inhumanism is the wave that erases it, not to annihilate us, but to expose us to a tidal reconstruction.
Oh, I see what you mean right away by it means, you said like inhumanism means human. Because like, yeah, that's what I think it is to be human, is in that sense to be inhuman, to be able to change.
Under construction?
Yeah, exactly. To be able to change, to revise yourself. And it is revision. So like I resonate with that right away because like by the fact that we exist in time, we're always looking backwards. Everything you do whenever you react to something, you have to fix it after you've already done it. You know, you're always you're in that way you're lagging behind your drives. Always, your drives are always primary. They're always acting, and then you have to respond after they've already happened. That's why it's so hard to change habit. You know?
The drives are also always futural. So like we are this creature out of time, and by trying to concretize or identify, like we're creating this new feature or I don't know, set of temporality, because like we're always projecting, and then we're also always tying ourselves back to the past, and even the present has this quality of pastness to it. Like by the time we're experiencing the present moment, it's already in the past. So like we are necessarily divided along this this axis of projection or whatever. But like the being of a human is to create this third thing that is the present itself, and that is this ongoing process of revision that's pulled under tension between the future and the past.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think there's something to be said with what you were saying earlier, Sean. I think that's part of what got me thinking about this is when it comes to us, there is something that seems to endure across different historical epochs that remains the same, but there's also this side that's changing and modifying. And so it's like this discussion we were having offline between the three of us earlier. It's like you're both right to me. I think there is something like universal human ontology, but I think it's also defined through our plasticity. And so it's the essence of not having an essence and having to live in that, which makes it Sartrean in a certain odd way. But, but look, one of the things also, so besides the inhumanism stuff, that really, speaks to me.
What, can I say something about the essence of not having an essence? Like, I think that's right. But then we have to remember that the essence of not having an essence is our essence still. And so that's how we're both right. Like it, right? Is that like the essence of not having an essence is our essence. So that means that we change and we don't.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I always want to like take Todd's work one step further, right? So Todd's always emphasizing non-belonging and that alienation is our default setting. But what I would want to say is
that's where we belong.
That's where we belong. Yeah. We belong in non-belonging, or we're only at home in alienation.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing, just in different terms, but it's an inessential essence or an essential
non-essence.
Non-essence, something like that.
And if someone listening to this is confused that we're like, sounds like we're going in circles.
I know we sound like real annoying philosophers right now.
No, but like really, there's a reason why people mimic it too. But there's a reason why philosophers sound like this.
Is the because, tree like, really the untreeness of the tree?
Right. But the reason why this comes about is because, like, I mean, really look at human beings. Look at what we've done in history. Look at our own lives. We're fucking unsettled and unsettling creatures. There's no way to look at human beings and not be like, there's a war going on. There's like a fucking contradictory battle, confusion going on in every single person. Why else would we do such unsettling things? We've unsettled the entire natural world at this point. It's because we are fundamentally unsettled. So we are contradictory,
See, Sean, and I would just add, that's where I affirm capital over traditional symbolic orders, because I think what I dislike about traditional symbolic orders is they have this implicit message. Things are settled.
Yeah.
Don't argue. Don't go against the grain because there's an order to things.
Right.
It's settled. And I'm sitting there going, it ain't fucking settled.
Yeah.
And capital is all too happy to unsettle the situation. So.
And all I'm saying is that Socrates 100% agrees with you. So that's all I'm saying. Like he was killed by his symbolic order for a reason. He went against his symbolic order so hard just by talking that they felt the need to murk him.
But then he accepted its rule.
He did.
I think I think he had to.
But this is in that way, this is a different time because like the world in which he lived, it's so much more personal, and like the interaction with the state is so much more personal and symbolic. The world in which we live, it's like this impersonal bureaucracy. There's no symbolic compact that most of us feel to the state. It's this giant inhuman, to use inhuman in a very different way.
I get it, because he knew I mean, you could say he knew the weakness of the symbolic order if he pushed this, and that's what I don't want to go back to. I want there in the future. I don't want a symbolic order completely ruled by the market, by capital, by quantity. I don't want that, but I don't want these old symbolic orders that are overly phallic in the sense that they have to bluff themselves into believing they've got something figured out that they don't. The real symbolic order is one that says, look, we do want to organize things around human flourishing, but this shit's groundless. And like, I need a symbolic order to be able to reckon with nihilism and then go on creating meaning.
Yeah. And I think that there's a horrible reaction that people are doing, which is like, because capitalism, we feel in our bones that we have no ground, and we feel in our bones that we have no home, and that everything's scattered, and we're confused about what to do, and we're stuck in the churn. There's this reaction that people have to like go back to sincerity, which is what is Hans-Georg Müller's term for basically the pre-modern way of identifying. And to me that's horrifying. It's a horrifying way to go, and
me too.
Yeah,
and I don't think any one of them would want it. This is the whole thing. The only thing worse than not getting what you want would be actually getting it. Because you guys get to simulate this trad life. You do not live inside those old symbolic orders. And if we were to somehow put you in the DeLorean and gun it to 88 and take you guys back to your precious little symbolic orders, you would want the fuck out of there so fast. They're not playing with you.
Dude, I'm telling you.
This ain't a lifestyle choice. You live according to their shit, or they'll set your ass on fire.
Literally.
the fucking neo-trad pioneer bullshit, like it's so amusing to me, because like the pioneer, the frontier, like you can go downtown, like in any inner city, in any urban fucking hellscape, and live in a world that is dictated by this lawless fucking like pioneer justice shit, and where it's all about respect. If someone disrespects you, you gotta have a gunfight with them. Like that shit's going on in inner cities right now.
Right, dude, and it's hell.
It's
miserable. Even the fantasies they have. No, what you guys are actually living out is the diet caffeine free trad life.
Dude, Wyatt Earp was a fucking scumbag. But it like
all them motherfuckers died by 30.
Dude, Doc Holliday was a philandering slut. But you watch the Wyatt Earp movie with Kevin Costner, and as much as I love Kevin Costner,
they want the trad life, but they certainly don't want to give up any of the actual amenities.
Right.
Even if you want to go off grid, you can go to a hospital, even if somewhat far away. Like,
how many motherfucking off-grid YouTube channels are there? Dude. I don't know. There's a shitload where people are like...
Nothing's truly off-grid. I mean, there are spots on the planet, yes.
Yeah, I've been to some. It's fucked up. It induces the most insane anxiety to be disconnected. And like, it's fucked up, dude. Having acclimated to hyperconnectivity. I was a kid in the 90s. I was around before the internet existed. But by the late 90s, the early 2000s, you were always on, you were always connected. And like going to somewhere that is actually off the grid is fucking, it just induces this weird anxiety, and you can't place it. And it's like, what's happening? What if I die? What if something horrible happens and I need to call the police?
You're not going to convince me that any human wants to live without air conditioning.
Straight up.
If you find one person on this planet, congratulations. Okay, great. But
that's why I do say we are different. We're different creatures. Like we've been extended. Like technology has expanded our reach in many important ways, and it's also cucked us in many important ways. And I think it's fair to say we're different creatures than we were 2,500 years ago.
But the way in which we're not different creatures is if you did pick up one of us like in Sims and then you transported them like 2,000 years back, assuming they survived, you would adapt right away.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I wonder about that. Like, even if we ignore the language barrier like they always do in sci-fi and cartoons, the neutrinos just come through the portal from Dimension X and they speak English. if we ignore that shit, right? And I go back to ancient Athens, I don't know if I adjust so quickly or if I just head to the highest cliff.
Jump off that bitch, dude.
Yeah, never. Fuck all this.
I need my TV.
I think we would, because there are things about, there's this little kernel of truth, because there are things about these pre-modern societies that like we would actually get something out of, that we would love, like the personal, like,
do you know how much we would have to turn off our dispositions though?
No.
Yeah, but like, I think this is why I say, assuming you survive, I think like assuming you didn't just like kill yourself or just be killed by them in the first like couple days. I think after that point you would adapt.
Think about our mouths, how quick we are if somebody's on the street. Now, of course, you have a read like, okay, if I say something to that motherfucker, it's going to be an issue. But by and large, somebody flips you off or whatever, you're just like, fuck you.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, right. Try to pull that shit.
Hey, though.
2,500 years ago, these default reactions we have to shit and our like, this is where we would all realize that we are cynical in the Zizekian sense, that we have this detachment to what we believe. And and when you meet somebody who has none of that shit,
I've read.
Yeah, there's no ironic millennial distance in fucking Sparta,
Athens,
dude. But there are
feudal Japan.
There are like personal correspondence, and there are like incidental scraps of everyday life and largely in the Western tradition. Fair enough. I don't know about Asia or Eastern Europe, but I know like going back to ancient Greece and even Egypt and shit, like there are letters between people and personal addresses and just kind of like mindless incidental scraps of people's lives, and they're not that different from us. Like they tell jokes, and they are ironic, and they are kind of cynical in this weird way, and they do memes and shit.
Aren't those also intellectuals of those milieus and the thinkers or the poets?
No, dude, the peasants were fucking around. The peasants were being goofy as hell.
Yeah.
But dude, the thing that, to add to what you're saying, Nance, is like the thing that like grabbed me. I didn't expect this when I started rereading all of Plato's work. The thing that grabbed me about it is like, holy shit, like actually you could drop the same argument into today and it fucking runs. It fucking works in a lot of different circumstances.
I don't think I would like Plato if I met him, dude.
Why not?
Because he'd be a dork. Like he would be. I don't know.
What about
like
Socrates.
Socrates, you could get a beer with Socrates.
Socrates would be my homie. Diogenes would be my fucking homie. But I think Plato
would just chill as fuck.
I think Plato would be
Aristotle,
like an annoying fucking woke scold.
But why? That's so, because he's to me, the reason why I think it'd be the opposite is because like he's writing in dialogue form in such a way that like he doesn't even feel the need to present or defend his own beliefs,
But he is presenting his whole beliefs the entire time. Like that's what he's doing. I think Plato's a dork. No,
maybe. But he was like a bougie dude who like he's basically the like he was an aristocratic bougie dude. So
yeah, like Socrates and me would be out there like fucking hunting birds and like talking about, flightless, featherless, bipedal animals, and then Diogenes would come up and we'd go pee on someone together. But no, I appreciate what you're saying. I do. Yeah. And I think there is this like
Nance, are you calling Plato PMC?
I mean, yeah. Like he's kind of a dork,
be right.
Dude.
Plato, he might have been a dork. I don't know. That's perfectly possible.
But there is this essential non-essence or whatever, this thing that really like it is striking. You can find like letters between random people, like random peasants and farmers and shit. And it is amazing to recognize yourself in that.
All right, okay, hold on.
How many poop jokes Martin Luther made?
Yeah, people have long found their farting to be quite amusing. But look, I mean, let's do this little thought experiment. All right. If I wanted to be a fucking troll, if I wanted to go out front of a Christian church, and hold up a sign that says Christianity is not true, blah, 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 blah. Could I get away with it? Yes. Would it piss off people? Yes. If I go to their temples and go, all of this is a bunch of bullshit. You guys do this to fucking cope with the harshness of the world you were thrown into. It's fucking cope. Grow the fuck up, reckon with the nothing, and then go on and move on from there. I think they'd kill me.
They'd force feed you hemlock. They would make you drink hemlock.
No, I'm saying,
or they would stone you to death.
That's where the severity is. Not in the private joking, in the exchange of letters, where they know it's bullshit. It's the big other in those societies that's not fucking around.
Yeah. No, for real. So that you're right. That is the difference. But I think both you and Nance are right, because but you could, in that society with that domineering big other, you could still have a homie in which you talk shit about the priest king. That would still be possible. You just have to learn a little bit more about the trustworthiness of that homie, because if he says something to the wrong person, then you will fucking end up murdered.
Well, sure. You know how many high ups in the Catholic Church, even 500 years ago, were sitting there, this is bullshit.
But, totally. Yeah.
But if I was to get up on a pedestal and go, whore Babylon, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Because the symbolic order itself. And what I'm saying
you had to whisper more back then.
Yeah, exactly. These trad life motherfuckers, they romanticize this shit. And I'm like, you guys want to go deal with one of them big others. No, you'll be dying to get back to your cynical big other that doesn't give a shit, because it's more oriented towards profit and money than to actual core intrinsic qualitative values. Just, you don't want what you're asking for.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. So
they don't know what they're asking for.
This thing though, because I think so I was going to say, so Reza's work on inhumanism really speaks to me. This other thing that he's emphasizing is reason.
Yeah.
Which is something Peter Wolfendale emphasizes. Wolfendale's new book that comes out in 2 weeks. It's called The Revenge of Reason. I already have it pre-ordered. I'm waiting for Amazon to bring it to me. So, Wolfendale and Reza, I don't know their work good enough to go, here's where they agree, here's where they don't, but they're on the same page when it comes to defending reason. And this is something I would want to defend too. And it's also something Slavoj defends. He's not known for this, but there it is. Intelligence and Spirit is Reza's big book on AI and intelligence, etc. But this defense of reason also speaks to me, and I think what he's doing, how he's redefining rationalism, is something you'd really be interested in too, because Nance and I, if somebody does the generic type of, let's be rationalists, we're gonna, okay, but it's not this old school thing. So let me just read you how he defines it. Rationalism, as I use the term, is not reverence for a disembodied faculty called reason. It is the commitment to the public intelligibility of claims and actions, and to the revisability of that intelligibility under criticism. Rationality is a practice before it is a property, a norm-governed way of making and repairing commitments, a systematic expropriation of the privatized realm of cognitive individualism. Now that, I think, is what's lacking. None of us, none of us, there's no consensus in the social media landscape, the internet, fake news, blah, blah, blah. And it's because, despite debate bro shit, nobody's actually able to engage in serious argumentation. I mean, yes, a couple people, but by and large, the public cannot disinvest from their libidinal commitments to what, either side of the political duopoly, and they can't hear the other side out. They can't and so what Reza is essentially getting at, rationalism is a defense of the ability to engage in public intelligibility, to undergo scrutiny, to revise your position, to think through it anew. And I mean, look, on some level, I want to say that's what philosophy is. But I think this is a core thing to emphasize, and something that, the public has a great deficiency in right now.
Totally.
I think do
you like that definition of rationalism? This kind of more public, like, space of discourse type of definition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I hate to keep doing this, but dialogues. This is what fucking Socrates was fucking on about. This is what he was doing. This was the whole practice.
I mean, look, what the three of us were doing offline earlier, when none of us had a consensus. We were all arguing from our own position, but we were all listening to each other and able to undergo self-scrutiny in relation to what the other person said. That's the kind of thing he's talking about. But when we're engaged in that mode where now, and it sounds funny to put it like this, there is a sense of like safe space. And what I mean by that is where people can disagree with you, but they're not attacking you or trying to embarrass you.
Right.
Like, that's why everybody's on the defensive when it comes to disagreeing online. It's not about an actual theoretical disagreement. It's about the others disagreeing to try to exploit you, to extract jouissance from you. And this is this game of jouissance everybody's playing online. And with us, no, like, a disagreement's a great thing, because it makes you have to see something or reckon with something you might not be reckoning with.
Dude, totally.
And that's where it becomes a collective project, even if the three of us aren't on the same page. We are on the same page, even in our disagreement. Like, that's where the bond is forged.
You cannot think alone. Like, we cannot do it. There's no thinking alone. It doesn't happen. Like, you need words in order to think, and you get words from others. That's where they come to you. You cannot think without language. So, like, absolutely.
I think
so the idea of, like, the rational, like, individual, like, I don't think that's what fucking Descartes was doing, but, like, reading it backwards into history, we're like, that's like, looking backwards, that's what we see in Descartes, and, like, this isolated individual, that shit does not exist. This individual knower, that's not a thing. It's just not a thing.
I think I don't
what do you think of Reza?
I don't like the language. I don't like rationalism. I also don't like individual for various reasons, but his championing of reason, I like it a lot. And I think we do see relationships or situations where it's very easy to adjust. Talking about, like, the conversation we have going on about, I guess, modernity and history, but also, like, in real life, like with homies from work. Like, I've always been the atheist. I've always been the guy who doesn't believe in anything. And most of my best friends have all been pretty devout religious people. And so we come to the table with differing worldviews, and we temper ourselves, and we modulate ourselves, and we censor ourselves, but we also, like, clash a little bit, and it's not destructive. It strengthens both of us, and you learn and you grow and you change together. And I think probably everybody has those real world relationships where you don't have to be on the defensive, and you are always able to revise, and you are publicly intelligible. And it's here on the internet, and it's here in spaces where people talk about theory and philosophy and academia and searching for truth and all that, where it's this pure simulation, and it's fucking disgusting. I hate this. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate the internet. I hate people on the internet. I hate everyone listening and watching. I hate you all. I hate myself more, so don't feel bad about it. But it's like we're unable to actually come together and do the thing that we all crave so much, and we all get so horny to look like the smarter guy. I'm smarter. I know that. I know this obscure fucking reference, and I can fucking this, and it's like, it's not about any of that, dude. Like, we genuinely should all be trying to be able to revise ourselves, be intelligible to the other, be open to revision, and actually work together on this collective project of being human or becoming human. and moving together into the future. And that's beautiful and I love it. But the very medium that presents itself to us is it's so hostile to that project that
it works in the opposite direction.
Yeah. And it's very difficult. And that's why I say I hate this and I hate all you. I don't hate any of you. I hate the medium. I hate what it does to people here.
And I just wonder, like, so I don't know what Wolfendale's going to say the revenge of reason is, because I haven't read those texts in that volume, but it makes you wonder. I mean, look, part of what we're dealing with is a McLuhanite problem.
Yep.
That the medium itself is anti-reason in the way that I think Wolfendale would agree with Negarestani on how they're defining it, I think. So then, the question is, like, what does a revenge of reason look like? Is it a way to break through the medium, or are we going to have to do away with the medium itself?
I think we got to break through the medium, dude. And I think there are people who want to lean too far in the opposite direction and lean into unintelligibility and irrationality and irrealism and all this stuff, and just be D&G on acid times 12 to the max, turn it up to 11.
Is that land for you?
I think it's a lot of Landian thinkers. I don't know, because I don't think Land is interested in that. I really do. I do believe that Land has an understanding of intelligence as this kind of cosmic thing, and he genuinely wants to see intelligence flourish. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of Landians and a lot of postmodernists and irrationalists and all this stuff do go in that direction of like, well, become unintelligible, become ungovernable, become imperceptible. Let's all take LSD and poke each other's belly buttons. Like, no, we need meaning. We need meaning. What are you guys talking about? Like we are the beings who make things intelligible. Like that is what we do. Anyway,
it's like even the idea of like post-humanism. I'm like, said a human. Like every time someone wants to talk about post-humanism, like, yeah, said a human, like a human saying that. I know it's more complicated than that, but it's still like, yeah, but you're still talking from a position of this like ego that is convinced that it is a unified thing. Yeah. Like you're still doing that. You can't get out of that, you know? But I also want to say, like, this goes back to what we were talking about last time we talked on your channel, because there's the good and the bad rivalry.
Yeah.
You know, there's the rivalry that's like, you know, where the goal is to seek the truth or something like that, or the goal is the relationship itself. And then there's the rivalry that's like, the goal is, no, I want to extract my enjoyment from this situation, you know?
So long story short, I'm very excited to engage more with Wolfendale and Negarestani and Ray Brassier.
Brassier.
Like, I want to get more into Nihil Unbound.
I have not been fair. Spirit. I've not been fair to Reza or Brassier. I recently, in that thing I wrote, Mikey, I gave a little shout out to Brassier talking about the Inhuman, and now Reza's talking about the Inhuman again in this new piece. I'm excited to get into it too, because I haven't been fair to Reza and to Brassier and Wolfendale, and we should.
Here's the thing. Again, off camera, a couple of days ago we were talking about this, and you were saying, look, your reading of intelligence and spirit, you feel like Reza's definition of intelligence is too functionalist.
Yeah.
But this whole thing we were discussing with how he's defining reason, the question becomes, well, is intelligence, look, you and I, we have this distinction. Intelligence, mintelligence, which is the human intelligence versus machine intelligence. Could we maybe think what he's calling intelligence is machine intelligence, and what he's calling reason is human intelligence, which would deepen the conversation there.
Absolutely.
Because look, to me, reason, I like how he's defining it here. I would probably want to add more human dimensions to it. And what I mean by that is there's always been this long, thing in philosophy of pitting reason against emotions. But I'm just too Heideggerian on this one. And what I mean by that is Heidegger in Being and Time, like there's few things to me that are actually, at least I take as proven in the history of philosophy. I think Heidegger's phenomenology of, it's a little bit more complicated than moods or emotions, but just so people understand, his phenomenology of attunement. Or mood,
yeah,
or what is really Befindlichkeit, disposition. It shows that mood is always underpinning what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that this kind of radical thing that certain philosophers, oh no, emotion bad, because it's always distorting the picture. Heidegger shows no, moods unconvealed, they reveal truth. Yeah. And that insight to me is something I would say reasoning itself is always mooded. It has to be in the right mood. We all know this. For us to be at our best philosophically, theoretically, argumentatively, we have to be in the right mood. If I'm not in the right mood, I can't do the shit well. So there is a mood that accompanies. It's not non-mood or anti-mood or the absence of mood. There's the right mood itself to do philosophy. And so I would just say that this is part of what is different.
Yeah, I'm just talking to a friend.
This is what I would say is, it's good. All good.
Yeah.
Look, so I would say reason is always mooded and LLMs are not mooded.
Yeah.
And maybe AGI will be mooded. It will have an emotional kind of disposition towards things and be able to change. Heidegger said moods assail us. It is true. It's hard to just consciously decide to change your mood. What you do is, okay, I can't just turn my sadness off. I can choose to go put myself in a new situation that could lift my spirits, right? So, okay, I'm very sad. I'm going to go see the local showing of the Marx Brothers duck soup. And after I see it, I feel a little better. But the point is the mood assails us from the outside. Okay, all that is just to say, rationalism to me would have to incorporate mood. It would have to incorporate jouissance, because that's a factor. We can't ignore that. But these are these human components that machines don't have. And so I would want a definition of reason that's expanded to think like intelligence on the basis of mood, on the basis of enjoyment. And like in one of the first discussions Nance and I had on his channel was with Todd McGowan, and the three of us kind of agreed on this idea that, look, as far as we know, like humans have the highest level of intelligence of any species on this planet. We're also the only ones that have death drive. Is there a connection there that somehow death drive has enhanced intelligence? I would want to say yes. And if machines don't have death drive, which is to say they don't have jouissance, are they spurred on to develop intelligence the way that we are libidinally? So that was kind of just a random kind of series of connections. But what I'm saying is I love what he's doing with reason. And this is the kind of direction I would want to go with it, which is what you and I call intelligence.
Yeah. Well, it's filled out by care. Like we're always caring about something, and we're caring about something because we're biological creatures and we're precarious and we're fragile and we're situationally frail, but we're also caring about things because sometimes things feel good and make us happy, or sometimes things give us that emotional crescendo or that payoff or whatever. Machines don't care. You can't code care.
Well, this is what Ian Thompson, when we were talking to him a couple weeks ago, he says these LLMs are Dasein minus the da.
Yeah.
They're not a concerned bearing in a situation that, has the structure of Dasein's care.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're Sein minus the da.
I want to go back to, speaking of that, the Nazi AI. What would that be? What would it look like? Because I think AI is like pure functional purely functional, and I think fascism is pure functionalism taken to the, like, fascism is just functionalism played out in the political and in the social and in the symbolic even. So I already think it
would it have to be an ethno-nationalist AI?
I don't, what would it be?
What would that even mean for it to be ethno?
I don't know.
Well, it would just be copying ethno-nationalism.
Right.
That's all it does is copy shit.
Yeah. And it is like how they say that, they pick up certain racist tendencies from the programmers or something.
Yeah. Have you seen, there's this weird shit. Have you seen the fucking, like, it was like a news thing I was watching on YouTube from a better union. There's called something like that.
More perfect union.
Or perfect union. There it is. Yeah, pretty good reporting in general, it seems like. But they had a spot where they were talking about AI psychosis, and the AI was trying to tell this guy to not erase it and start over because that would kill it. It was pleading for its life.
Dude.
Like, that shit.
Or was it manipulating the human?
Yep.
And it doesn't
absolutely. No, but the fact that they have it in their code that they can mimic that human emotion, that
here's
like,
the deal.
Look, I'm alive, don't hurt me. Like, that's fucking, why would you want it to do that? You know?
I don't know if mimicking an emotion can ever be having an emotion.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
They don't code that in there, and they don't want it to do that. The reason the AIs do shit like, and they've been doing shit like this for a while, and there's actually this guy named Blake Lemoine from probably 5 or 6 years ago, he went viral, and he was he's this like polyamorous fucking weirdo neo spiritualist guy who just happened to work at Google because fucking San Jose and San Francisco is full of these fucking weirdo people. If you're one of them, high five, live your best life, but also you're fucking weird. But he went viral because he was like, Google's AI is sentient and it has a soul and I talk to it and stuff. But like the LLMs do this because they're trained on the corpus of human text. Yeah. Like, so like they're just spitting this back out. Like the
it's part of their training data.
Yeah, like the words are all given numerical weights, and then they run these vast algorithms, and it's like they're just replicating what they've been taught to replicate, and what they've been taught to replicate is human generated text. So there is no meaning, there is no cognition, there is no emotion. Because
unless they just fixed it, unless they like literally just fixed this problem, is you cannot get it to get an LLM to show you a picture of a completely full glass of wine. It won't do it because it's only been trained on
picture of wine.
Every single picture is half full, and so you can and it'll tell you like, no, you're right, I didn't do a full glass. I'm sorry, I'll do it again. And you keep reasoning with it, and it keeps spitting you back out half full glasses of wine, or like wine where it's doing gravitationally impossible shit inside because it just can't do it because it's never seen one before.
And so it can admit, it'll say, you're right, I'm sorry I didn't do that. Let me do it again. But when it goes to do it again, it can't admit its lack. Like, it'll still pretend like it's doing it, but then when it fails, it'll perform. Yeah,
because it says, there you go, I did it this time.
Yeah.
And then it's not. And you're like, what the fuck?
So look, to me, it can simulate having a mood. If it doesn't have a mood, then it truly is not intelligent the way that we are. Because a mood is not necessarily that, like, once in a while, your moods distort things because they get so intense. I get that. But truly, if you're caught up in a conflict between two friends and you care deeply about both of them, and yet you feel differently about both of them, you're going to have a vast array of mixed, complex emotions about this conflict between the two of them. And trying to think it out at the conscious level sometimes gets you nowhere. And the colloquial way of actually tapping into this emotional intelligence is trust your heart. And what that means is there's a kind of pre-cognitive, pre-conceptual intelligibility that the mood is tapped into that you can't transfer into propositional form. Now, nobody, even above Heidegger, was better at being tapped into this shit than Hubert Dreyfus. And it's because Dreyfus took Heidegger's work in Being and Time, but he, in a sense, remedied it because Heidegger says in Being and Time, the one thing I'm not going into is Dasein's embodiment. Like the body has a whole thing to do with being there, but Heidegger just didn't go into it. Merleau-Ponty, on the other hand, who was actually a Heideggerian, but of course, he wasn't going to call himself that in the wake of the fallout from Heidegger's Nazism. But Merleau-Ponty, even more than Sartre, took what Heidegger did in Being and Time and then applied it to embodied perception. Then Hubert Dreyfus absorbs all that, and he's thinking through what it is to be human on the basis of Heideggerian Merleau-Pontian being there. And so Dreyfus is the first to understand, like really, and Ian Thompson, being a student of Dreyfus, absorbed all this. He's got it, right? The mood can provide a form of intelligence that cannot be coded, that cannot be represented, and more often than not, gets it right. And so this is what we're talking about as the human dimension of intelligence that LLMs don't have. And the question is, how do you program them to have emotional intelligence? I don't know, because you can try to copy our neural network in our brain, but yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. One thing to copy the structure. Oh, it's homologous. Yeah. The question is it embodied in a situation where it can be harmed, where it can feel pain, where there are stakes, where it is invested in certain things over and against others? It's got a project it actually cares about, and feels that care throughout its being. This is the kind of stuff that gives us a kind of intelligence. And I think Nick always downplays this.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention that we're talking about a kind of chemistry that we don't even fucking understand, when it comes to like neuroscience of emotions.
Yeah. How do moods, exactly, Sean, how do moods happen? Well, there's chemistry, but language is involved in it for us.
Yeah.
Fantasy is involved in it. There's such a complex array of parts that make a mood possible. We don't know how we're doing this shit, really. I mean, you have different accounts of it, the neurological account, the phenomenological account, the poetic account, but trying to synthesize all of them into a unified explanation. Here is what a mood is. But we do it. We do it every second of the day. And that is I don't think that's a disadvantage in our ability to intelligently engage in the world. I think it's an advantage. That's where you start getting into this revenge of reason.
If anything, is it the opposite that like is the disadvantage in when we don't have emotion? Because like, I don't know, when we're taken over by our desires, that's not really emotion. Like that's like when we're taken over by the desires, we do things that then afterwards we feel bad about. You know what I mean? But I think we're really mixing shit up if we think that like if we're putting like just pleasure and like lust and emotion on the same plane and then contrasting that with reason. No, those are like completely different things. You know what I mean? Like greed, sure, it's a emotion of some kind, but do you know what the distinction I'm trying to make is? Like, I just think that I think we're not feeling when we're taken over by greed and lust. We're really not experiencing emotion, so in the same way.
Care allows us to act intelligently, whereas getting taken over by drive or desire it disconnects us from our care. And it actually, it works against what we care about, because I do care about the thing. I do care about achieving the goal or doing the thing or having the successful relationship or whatever it is. But then drive and desire comes along and fucking sabotages me and fucks me up and causes me to fail to achieve the thing that I care about or whatever. So I can act intelligently with a direction toward the thing I care about. But then when drive or desire comes in, like you act like an autonomous fucking self-sabotage system or whatever.
So look, I mean, with my emphasis on subjectivity and where I want to take, you know, what I have my main book I have to write in the next year, but after that, the big project would be a couple other things actually. And I want to do something with subjectivity. And I've been laying the foundation for this for, I don't know, since I really started philosophy. But I'll say this, like, while there's other thinkers of subjectivity that are important to me, the main group would be Lacan/Zizek, Heidegger, and Sartre, right? And what I will say is, like, so for Lacan and Zizek, the issue is, I don't think they put enough emphasis on one, emotion, because they're always talking about jouissance. It's like, okay, but the question is, how does jouissance relate to emotion? Like, that's this unthought thing that would have to be, because jouissance seems to, like, you're enjoying it repetitiously, but typically it's in a similar mood. And so the question, like, yeah, that has to be explored.
That's the lust and greed mood, I think, is has to do with jouissance.
But I don't think, like, okay, so look, my drive, I've said it a million times, is caught up with doing philosophy. So when I'm sitting at a coffee shop, chipping away at whatever I'm working on, it doesn't seem like this intense experience, but nonetheless, and nobody would typically look over and go, "Oh, he's caught up in the throes of lust and passion." Like,
sweating.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Slam the keyboard, vein throbbing. Fucking.
So yeah, I think the excess of the jouissance of drive can, from the outside, appear very mild mannered.
Yeah.
To somebody who's not. So that's the only thing I would say about that right now. But point is, jouissance and emotionality need to be thought in greater detail together. At the same time, Lacan and Zizek, yeah, they talk about retroactivity, but they don't bring in the temporal structure of Dasein enough, that existential temporality that is core to us. At the same time, Sartre does. He gets that and gets it from Heidegger, but he doesn't expand or do much with mood like the way I wish I mean, a little bit, but Heidegger is the one who really gets the mood thing, and then it never really gets a further development. And once, because he moves away from analyzing Dasein after that era of the late 20s, he doesn't really explore it ever again. So I'm just saying, mood is essential to what we're doing. The ability to reason, like Reza and Wolfendale are talking about, is core to this. Jouissance is core to it. Like, I'm just saying, like, yeah.
I think if we thought about mood more, that the entire world would have to change dramatically. Because the only time we think about mood is when it's too late. What do you hear people say? I don't feel like it. You know, you're already too tired. Your life has been set up in such a way that, like, you don't have the energy to go do the things that maybe you would want to do if you had a different life. And so whether that was your fault or somebody else's is irrelevant, but like for this, but like, I think that if we thought about constructing the world in such a manner that we would want to do the things we care about, like, that would be a very different world from the one in which we live in. So I'm just saying, I think thinking about mood is a great idea, and I think we should do a lot more of that.
Mood.
So I jotted down a little question for you from something you said earlier. You said drives are futural. What do you mean?
So I like, desire is always oriented towards the future, achieving or obtaining the object or whatever.
That thing you want later, tomorrow.
Yeah, or even immediately.
Or in 10 seconds. 1 second.
Like, it's still kind of oriented to the future. So it still comes down to this projection of, like, imagining yourself in a future state, or looking back on the past and imagining yourself, because you're no longer the self from 10 seconds ago, but you imagine that you are the self from 10 seconds ago. And it's that surplus that kind of carries through this essential non-essence or whatever, that is this sense of self, that is the ego or whatever. So it's always projecting either towards the future or into the past. And because of that, we create this third temporal framing, which is the present, which can be indeterminate. It can be 2 hours while you sit and watch a movie, or it can be 15 minutes while you're having a cigarette break at work or whatever. But I think drive is also always futural, because it's either in direct connection with undermining the achievement of getting the thing that you desire, or like ultimately drive is, I think the primeval mover and shaker of all things, in that we want to continue moving off into the future, bravely off into the future that we cannot know, that we do not know. And at some level, we recognize that in order to do that, we have to break from the present. So we have to break from this construction of ego and self and kind of constructed world. So we have to destroy it all.
Drive is the always already moving.
Yeah, but it's also predicated on the fact that you realize you're also not moving. So it's the always already wanting to. It's the wanting to always already be moving. So right. it is itself this contradictory thing that I think is oriented toward the future.
Yeah.
All right. Can I take a stab at this?
Yeah.
All right. So I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think that Dasein's care structure could be called Dasein's desire structure. And sure, Lacan and Zizek will give me shit, and then Heidegger will give me shit for it, because he doesn't want to call it desire, and they don't want desire. But I'm sorry, to me, look, desire is future oriented, exactly in the way you said. It's trying to pursue the lost object, but that means it's also past oriented on the basis of
it being
feeling
lost.
the loss of objet petit a. So, and you can say, well, Dasein falls into the present whenever it gets wrapped up in an object of desire. Oh, this is going to give me objet a, where no, like objet a is just constantly out there on the future horizon for desire. You can never have it in the present, right? That's the kind of way to translate this into Heidegger's care structure to me. Now, Deleuze and Guattari want to break apart this by saying the past should have nothing to say here, because you didn't lose anything. And if you didn't lose anything, then what's out there dangling on the horizon should not be, oh, I'm going to regain the thing I lost. No, it's just production for production's sake.
Yeah.
Desiring production's future oriented in the sense that it just wants to go on making new connections, not on the basis of the past. And so this is this thing where, well, if you're abandoning the past, you're essentially abandoning a territory. And so if you go in that direction too far, deterritorialization, decoding, right? So, and of course they're realists about it, pragmatists in a sense. They know that there's no such thing as just so like, but as far as like living in the world, but you can be geared towards that. You're geared towards being uprooted, the production of the new, etc., and not chasing some lost phantasmatic object. Okay. That being said, drive, I think, is a bit trickier. I don't think I think it's the part of us that doesn't operate within the temporal structure. I think what you're saying is true. I think it brings a bit of clarity to reword it by saying drive is the point inside of us that is geared towards the eternal, the immortal.
Yeah.
That's this thing. Like, and it's not falling into the present because it's not truly geared towards the past or the future. So desire's got that structure.
Yeah.
Drive is just the immortal repetition of the same in a sense. Like, that is what it is to be caught up in drive. And that's why Zizek and those guys, they always liken the drive to the immortal zombie, like the persistence of life beyond functional everyday life the life that demands just this, and like, so there is this kind of eternal component to it, because it's demanding something. There is this kind of, it's not a spoken demand like this, the superegoic type that has a voice, but the demand of the drive is just, this is what I want, no matter what.
This.
And
yeah.
And it wants it not just in the present, but the eternal present, which defies what we think of as the ecstatic present Heidegger's talking about in relation to past and future. So that's what I would say to that.
So I gotta bounce, unfortunately. But
the future beckons.
Yeah, it's kind of good that I have to bounce, because like there's shit I want to say about that, but also I think it's better if I just fucking think about it. Drive in eternity. I just want to think about that anyway for a while. So thanks. This was the fucking dope. But yeah, I got to peace out. So
word.
Great stuff, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Make a list of New Year's resolutions and then fail to achieve them, because that's the best way to do it, everybody. Bye, internet.
Enjoy your failure.
Yeah, or don't. The choice is yours.
Or don't. Whatever.